Well, thanks for joining me, Adam. I just thought we saw you at the you gave a presentation at the Movers and Store sorry, not the Movers and Storage show, the CSTA conference recently on some of the changes within the insurance sector and how Basil Fry were dealing with that. And I just thought it'd be great to share that with some of our storage operator network. So just so we can kick off, if you're happy to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Adam Kellaway. I'm Technical Director at Basil Fry Company. Basil Fry Company is a specialist insurance broker. We focus solely on the removals and storage and self-storage industries. We've been trading since 1970, mainly in removals until 2009, roughly, when we started really focusing on the self-storage sector. And we've now grown to have in the region of 45% of the maximum lettable area in the UK on our books as clients. So roughly that sort of percentage of the industry, self-storage industry, is on our books at the moment. And we've recently been acquired by a larger group called Genster. So we're still trading as Basil Fry Company, still the same people here, but we're part of a wider group now.
Okay, great. And just for people listening who don't know who I am, my name's Anna Roberts. I'm the CEO and founder of Explorage.com, with the online marketplace for self-storage. So for storage operators listening, you can list your space for free on Explorage.com and reach a wider demographic 24/7, essentially. So just setting the scene then, what changes have been present in the insurance sector recently then, and what was the situation previously?
Sure. So a bit of a history lesson, I guess, to begin with. Self-storage operators enjoyed the ability that they was able to sell insurance as any organization was prior to 2005, when insurance regulation came into existence for insurance brokers and anyone selling insurance. We became regulated in 2005, and at that point, focusing on the self-storage industry specifically, self-storage operators either became regulated, used a bit of a temporary solution called the insured contractor route, which I won't talk about too much, but that was in place for a few years until in 2009, the Treasury issued an exemption order to the regulatory legislation, which allowed self-storage operators and removers and freight forwarders to sell insurance to their customers. So that's been in place unchanged since 2009. What's happened over the course of the past sort of 2 to 3 years and continues through this year is a change in how the regulator approaches an unregulated sale. So it's not a change to the law preventing self-storage operators from selling insurance, and it isn't just focused on self-storage operators, by the way. It's everyone. But what the regulator has clarified is that actually unregulated parties need to be controlled by the insurance industry more. So it's quite vague what the regulator has asked for, but effectively that's the change that's come into play in the past couple of years, or it has been introduced and is now sort of being seen as in practice across the industry.
Okay. So how has the industry responded to that then?
Well, insurance industry, do you mean?
Yeah.
So the insurance industry has been affected in its entirety. So this isn't just, the niche areas like self-storage insurance. It's affected everybody. So the past 18 months has been incredibly busy for all compliance departments, all insurers, and absolutely everybody who is involved in insurance selling, or as an insurance company, or as a broker, and what have you. So they have focused on absolutely every transaction that they're involved with, and self-storage is something that they have looked at, and we've been discussing with the industry in depth. But effectively, a lot of insurers who've been involved for quite a number of years have withdrawn. So they've said it's too difficult for us, it's too complicated, we don't fully understand what the regulator is expecting us to do, so we're pulling out. And that's happened with a few big a few big name insurers, not just the ones we deal with, but the ones our competitors deal with as well.
And is that's not just self-storage, that's other sectors as well then?
Yeah, I think the insurers are pulled out of areas which are too complex, nuanced, time consuming to fix, etc.
Yeah.
Some self-storage is a big sector, but it's small to insurers, right? So if they're looking at everything that they do,
Yeah.
they're going to be looking at the problem areas first and sort of sever those low-hanging fruit, if you like, to make their
Yeah.
business more easy for them to manage. And unfortunately, we after having many discussions with insurers for quite a long time, kind of got to a point where a lot of them said, we're, nothing to do with us anymore, we're pulling out.
Yeah, okay. So Basil Fry obviously aren't one of those. How are you addressing it?
Well, as a broker, we and as specialists to the industry, we took it upon ourselves to try and get ahead of the problem before it became a problem, get ahead of the changes. So the regulator, the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, started talking about these changes back in at the end of quite a few years ago, but released their final guidance at the end of 2019. So since January 2020, we've been really looking at the detail of what the regulations mean, negotiating with insurers, trying to come up with a workable solution for selling insurance, like everybody does now. And in case that didn't work out, or in case the insurance industry didn't want to participate in what we thought was the best solution for selling insurance, we developed something that is similar but not insurance. So we developed something that sort of working on the two work streams concurrently, I guess, for 3 years, having discussions with the insurers that subsequently pulled out, and then also having an alternative solution so that operators can still sell something to customers. Okay.
And I know the answer, but for the benefit of the audience, has that got a name?
It does. We've called it Store Protect.
Yeah.
And we have a similar model that we're offering to the removals industry called Move Protect. There's another version for mobile self-storage operators. Not sure of the name of that yet, but it will be something along those lines.
Probably have the word protect in it.
It will have the word protect in it for sure. So that is the name that we have given to a new contractual liability solution that we've developed that is unique for us, that has taken an awful lot of time over the last 2.5 years.
I imagine that you know it inside out, back to front, and every other way. So in actual practice, what does it actually mean for storage operators when they're working with customers day to day?
Sure. So the main thing, the main things that we've tried to protect, or that we have protected, to use that word again, with the new basis that we're offering, which is called Store Protect, what we've tried to do is make sure that customers can still buy something from a self-storage operator at point of sale for the storage space that allows them to protect their goods. So at the moment, they'll sign up for a storage unit and they'll buy insurance, and they'll have that peace of mind, and that insurance will continue unless they decide to opt out midway through the storage period, which they don't really, unless there's a very good reason or exceptional circumstances. That insurance cover will continue until the customer moves out, and they pay on a for the period of time that they use. Customers need that because it's quite difficult to get the cover that they benefit from. It's not as easily accessible. They have to, if they buy it separately, they have to manually extend it and make sure it's applicable for that facility. Whereas the self-storage operator is offering them something that's easy, straightforward, and gives them the cover that they need. And equally, the self-storage operator themselves can, of course, sell an additional product to their customers. It's part of the revenue that they generate. So it's important for simplicity. The previous model, the current model of selling insurance, we've tried to focus on those key points in creating this new solution. So operationally, once Store Protect is up and running, it shouldn't really mean any real day-to-day operational changes for the operator. The customer can still buy Store Protect, buy protection. It's enhanced liability under the customer contract that the self-storage operator provides. So changes to their contract, which I can talk about later, would be necessary. But in essence, the customer's buying protection from the self-storage operator, and the self-storage operator is selling them protection for their goods, and operationally, in all practical senses, it works in the same way.
Okay, so focusing on the wording, when they are selling it, they're not calling it insurance, they're calling it protection. So from a semantics sort of point of view.
Yeah, you're calling it protection. It's customers' goods protection. We've decided to use the phrase store protect to give it the enhanced liability and name, to make it a bit more understandable. So
Yeah.
it seems like customers can understand that they're buying a thing that is of benefit to them.
And does the storage operator need to change anything in terms of their terms and conditions or anything like that?
They do. It's a fundamentally important point that they amend their terms and conditions to be appropriate for the use of Store Protect. And we, as a broker, we provide that kind of guidance to get them to the point, because we've done the legal due diligence with lawyers, and we've got a set of paperwork that our legal advisors have said is practical and usable, and we help our clients implement the changes to their terms and conditions, and then also changes to website language, FAQs, training store staff, all of the really important operational bits that just need to be tweaked based on an understanding. So with the training is the important part, and also the contractual language. We sort of provide all of those services, as well as template contracts and the insurance policies to sit behind it.
Okay, good. Well, I suppose then, from a customer perspective, as in the end user of the self-storage, that ideally, all going well, nothing happens and they never need to actually claim on it. So from their perspective, they just have protection and perhaps don't look any further than that. If they did have to make a claim, what would be the process? Would it be similar to how it's been before?
Yeah, legally it's different, but if we talk about the practical side to begin with, the Store Protect contract will be laid out in a similar way to the current paperwork that a self-storage operator who is selling insurance has. So they have their customer contract at the moment, and they have a summary of insurance cover that sits on the side. Intentionally, Store Protect is structured in the same way. So you have the main customer contract, the main customer service agreement, and then you have what we call the Store Protect addendum sitting alongside that, and included within that document is guidance to the customer on what to do if you need to make a claim. And it's quite comprehensive, more comprehensive than documents have been previously. And the only reason for that is because we've taken the opportunity to put more information into that guidance document, so that customers understand exactly what they need to do to minimize the cost of their claim, to notify their claim quickly, and the consequences of not declaring the right values, the consequences of declaring late, and also telling them what to do and what not to do, and what information to send in. So it's trying to kind of do a bit more of the work, that answer a lot more of the questions that come up after the event. But importantly, it includes the option for customers to notify the operator, as current insurance paperwork often does anyway, but also just gives the customer the opportunity to call our claims department directly to notify a claim to them, as they will be effectively representing the self-storage operator and their insurers in managing the claim on their behalf. So the process isn't actually dissimilar to what the customer needs to follow now if they were buying insurance.
Okay, great. And I just picked up there about the sort of declaring of value. Obviously, that's something that's quite topical, especially at the moment, and sort of encouraging customers to reassess the value of goods that they do have insured. And again, is that process of them notifying you of a change of value, is that just the same as it was previously, relatively straightforward?
Yeah, customer values are known for being under-declared in the self-storage industry. Unfortunately, customers try and save on cost by declaring a lower value without realizing the consequences of that. So the consequences of under declaring is that you're underinsured, and if you need to make a partial claim, so let's use an example. I'm half answering your question and also giving more information here, by the way. So to give context for underinsurance and the importance of declared values, if a customer declares £5,000 because they only want to incur the cost for £5,000 worth of insurance or store protect, but they've actually got £10,000 worth of goods insured, they're 50% underinsured. And what a lot of customers don't realise, and sales staff often, actually store staff don't necessarily realise sometimes, is that a partial claim will only be partially paid if a customer is underinsured. So in that example, the customer's 50% underinsured. If they need to make a claim for £1,000, our claims team is experienced in finding out roughly what the total value of the goods in store is. So they would say, well, you've declared 5, you've actually got 10 in store, you've claimed for 1,000 for a damaged whatever, and you're 50% underinsured, so you're only actually claiming for £500 because your
Okay, so
claim
it's
is
not like as
proportionately
if
reduced.
they can't just claim up to £5,000, you know, even as a partial claim. Yeah.
That's a common misunderstanding. Oh, well, I'll
Yeah.
only insure up to £5,000 because I'll never need to claim any more. But it's actually has an impact on every single claim, regardless of size. So that being a common problem and being incredibly difficult to fix in the current kind of with the fact that the current sales process for selling insurance is so embedded in everybody's procedures and systems and documents and things. Now is the opportunity for a radical change and improvement to the sales process to make it really, really clear to customers when they are buying Store Protect, there is a consequence if you underdeclare your value, and that's reiterated multiple times through the templates. So it's kind of we've taken that as an opportunity to improve. We've taken the change as an opportunity to improve that process.
Okay, well, that's good. I think actually that's probably worth a follow-up second chat where we just discuss that particular element more from the customer facing side so that they can understand that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moving on then, do you see any other big changes? I hope not. But what other trends are you forecasting?
I hope not as well, because it's been a long road to get us here. To be honest, I think this change is going to be we're only at the very beginning of this transitional phase, and it's affecting operators when they get to renewal of their customs goods policies or shortly thereafter. So the effect of this change is going to carry on for probably the next 12 to 18 months, if not 2 years, depending on when people switch over. The insurance industry is just the insurance regulator is just becoming more and more having a wider reach to consumer insurances. So this effect actually is the first and sort of most impactful change I think they could make that would affect self-storage operators. So I don't think that there's certainly nothing else on the horizon that's different that could affect self-storage operators or the industry. We've seen the effect of price increases across the industry for property insurance and business interruption over the past few years post COVID. That's bottomed out a little bit now, and the effects are less dramatic. So hopefully the current state of play with this change become the new business as usual. So nothing forecasts that people don't know about already.
So a busy year or two, and then hopefully just sort of plateau out.
Let's hope so.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Adam. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure that will have been a big help to people listening as well.
Good. No problem at all. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.